It happened in an instant. A crowded university hall, students buzzing with excitement, a well-known political figure preparing to speak. Then, a single gunshot rang out, shattering the atmosphere and leaving the room in chaos. The target? A man who built his career on controversy. The shooter? A name few had ever heard before that day. But what really happened on September 10th, 2025? And why has this moment become one of the most debated events of the year? Who was Charlie Kirk, the target? To understand the impact, we first need to look at the man at the center of it all, Charlie Kirk. Charlie wasn't just another speaker on campus. He was the founder of Turning Point USA, a powerful conservative youth organization with chapters across the country. Known for fiery debates and an unapologetic stance on hot-button issues, Kirk had built a massive following and just as many critics. To supporters, he was a defender of free speech and traditional values. To his detractors, he represented division and confrontation. But no matter which side you stood on, one thing was undeniable. His influence on young audiences was huge. An influence, as history has often shown, can make someone a target. Who was Tyler Robinson? The shooter. On the other side of this story is Tyler Robinson, a name that meant little to most people before that day. Tyler wasn't a household figure, but in the weeks after the shooting, countless rumors began circulating about who he really was. Some reports described him as a disillusioned student, frustrated with the political climate. Others suggested he had ties to activist groups, though no solid evidence ever proved that claim. And then there were whispers online of something more personal, a private grievance that may have boiled over in a public way. The truth? Even now, it's unclear. But what's certain is that on September 10th, Tyler Robinson's life and Charlie Kirk's collided in a way that shocked the nation. The day of the event, tension builds. The setting was the University of South Florida. Students had gathered for what was supposed to be a lively and, yes, potentially heated event. Charlie Kirk was scheduled to speak, answer questions, and, as always, spark debate. Security was present, but the atmosphere felt more like a spirited campus event than a high-risk political rally. Students chatted, filmed videos for social media, and filled the hall with anticipation. And in that crowd sat Tyler Robinson. Witnesses later described how nothing seemed unusual about him at first. He blended into the audience, quiet, observant, waiting. And then, everything changed. The shooting, the turning point. As Charlie Kirk took the stage, students pulled out their phones, recording what they thought would be another viral speech moment. But instead, what they captured was a moment no one could have imagined. Tyler stood, raised a weapon, and in seconds, the sound of a single shot cut through the air. Panic erupted, gasps, screams, the clatter of chairs as students rushed to escape. Some froze in disbelief, unable to process what had just happened. And in the center of the stage lay Charlie Kirk, the man whose voice had shaped countless debates, now silent. The immediate aftermath, chaos and confusion. Chaos consumed the hall. Security rushed forward, tackling Tyler before he could fire again. Students streamed out, some crying, others filming in shock. Within minutes, social media lit up. First came panicked posts. Something just happened at USF. Gunshots. Then blurry videos surfaced, quickly shared thousands of times. And with those videos came confusion. Some claimed there were multiple shooters. Others insisted it was staged. The flood of speculation was overwhelming, and no one seemed to know what was real. But one fact was certain: something irreversible had just happened. Media frenzy, narrative spins. It didn't take long for national outlets to seize the story. Headlines spread like wildfire. Charlie Kirk shot at university event. Cable news networks went into non-stop coverage. Panelists arguing live on air about what it meant. Some painted Tyler Robinson as a lone wolf driven by personal rage. Others framed it as a political attack, warning of growing instability in the country. On social media, hashtags exploded. Memes, conspiracies, and debates raged across every platform. For millions who hadn't even heard of the University of South Florida, the name was suddenly unforgettable, but the noise only raised more questions. Eyewitness accounts, human side of the chaos. For those inside the hall, the moment was unforgettable. Students described the sound of the gunshot as deafening, followed by an eerie silence before panic took over. Some recalled diving under chairs, others sprinting for the exits, and a few even rushing toward the stage in shock. One student told reporters, "It felt unreal, like we were watching a scene from a movie, but then you realize it's real, and you don't know if you're next." These first-hand accounts quickly spread online, amplifying the raw, human side of the story. They weren't just just headlines anymore. These were young people whose lives had been shaken in an instant. But while students tried to process what they had just lived through, investigators were already at work piecing together exactly what had happened. The investigation, uncovering the facts, law enforcement wasted no time. Tyler Robinson was restrained within seconds and taken into custody. From there, investigators began mapping out his every step, how he entered the hall, how he concealed his weapon, and whether anyone had helped him. Early leaks suggested Tyler had been planning something for weeks, though officials were careful not to release too much detail too soon. What they did confirm was that his actions weren't random, he came with intent. But as investigators revealed new findings, the line between fact and rumor blurred. Every statement from officials seemed to spark fresh speculation online, and while the police focused on evidence, the internet had already created its own narrative. The internet's role, conspiracies and viral theories. Within hours of the shooting, conspiracy theories exploded across social media. Some claimed the event had been staged to push a political agenda. Others swore there were multiple shooters, pointing to shaky phone footage as their proof. Influencers and podcasters jumped on the story, adding their own spin and drawing millions of views. Memes appeared within hours, mocking the tragedy or twisting it into fuel for political battles. This flood of speculation blurred the line between truth and fiction, making it nearly impossible for the public to separate reality from rumor. And it was in this fog of confusion that the biggest mystery remained: Tyler Robinson's true motive. Motives and speculations, theories emerge. As the dust settled, the central question hung heavy in the air. Why did Tyler Robinson do it? Some reports claimed he was politically driven, fueled by opposition to Kirk's message. Others whispered about personal struggles, describing a young man who had grown increasingly unstable. But the most extreme theories painted him as part of something larger, an agent of a broader movement, or a pawn in a hidden agenda. None of these claims were ever fully proven, yet the speculation alone was enough to ignite endless debates across the country. Public and political fallout, the bigger picture. The ripple effects were immediate. Politicians rushed to issue statements, some calling for calm, others seizing the moment to double down on their platforms. Across campuses, protests erupted, some defending free speech, others demanding tighter security and stricter screening for controversial speakers. The nation seemed split, not only over what had happened, but over what it represented. To some, it was a wake-up call about political violence. To others, it was proof that America's divisions were reaching a breaking point. Even weeks later, the debates continued, and still, no clear consensus emerged. Outro, thought-provoking close. A single moment at a university in Florida became a defining event of the year. One man's life ended, another's was changed forever, and millions were left to grapple with the meaning of it all. Was this truly the act of one individual, fueled by personal anger, or was it a symptom of something much larger, a society where tensions, rhetoric, and ideology collide in explosive ways? The answers may never be clear, but one thing is certain: September 10th, 2025, left behind a story that won't soon be forgotten. So what do you think? Was this a lone act, or part of a much bigger picture? Let me know in the comments below.